So my question to both of you is, what does building trans political power look like to you? And we'll start ladies first. Diamond.
Oh gosh, it's funny that you mentioned Althea Garrison. I remember I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, but part of my youth I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. And so during that time was 92. I was in Boston during 92 when all that stuff was going down. And I remember as a little person who didn't have the language about being trans, who didn't have the language, all the things that I know now as an almost 40-year-old woman. I remember being on the bus stop with my mom and them having the conversation about Boston Globe outing her. And you know, they were using the horrible language of this, it used to be a man, it and he, she, and all this kind of stuff. And my little mind, not understanding or having the language that I have now, I still resonated with what they were talking about. I still was curious and like, oh my God, are they talking about there's somebody who's actually, you know, living, you know, their life the way they want to live it? It opened up so many questions in my mind, and I had so many conversations with my mom, and my mom also not having the language about transness. She's trying to explain it to the best of her ability, not being toxic, but also, you know, not having any kind of you know, political analysis. She's a hood girl in a battered women's shelter, and we were trying to survive. So, you know, I ain't trying to talk about no trans stuff. That's how my mom was. But I remember that time, and I didn't know the context. But now that I'm a grown woman, I have a context, and I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe I was in the middle of that as a young child. So for now in 2020, for me, it's all the building political power for me is about deciding what kind of battle that I want to choose within the next 4 years. I want to, do I want to battle a misogynist white supremacist that's in the office currently for another 4 years? Or do I want somebody who may be moderate, but and maybe a little bit racially tone deaf, but but they still see my humanity. I'd rather battle with that person and move them over to the left than to worry about somebody who doesn't even see my humanity, who wants to allow, you know, healthcare workers to deny me healthcare. I don't want to battle that fight. I want to battle something that's a little more closer to home. So for me, that is building political power, knowing, you know, where your battle should lie in the future. And understand that this is not the time for divisiveness. And when I say this is not the time for divisiveness, this does not mean that I feel that nobody is above reproach. Nobody can. If you have a critique, yes, say your critique and, you know, let it be known. But what I mean is, this is not the time to stay home. This is not the time to, you know, let your ancestors down. This is not the time to let your community down. This is not the time to let, you know, your privilege to be able to stay home and not give a care. There are some people who are actually dying. When we think about the COVID numbers, when we think about people who are losing their jobs, people who are losing their homes, when we think about these people, there are people who don't have the privilege to stay home, who don't have the privilege to say, oh, if I don't vote, it won't affect me that much. There are some people whose lives, literal lives, are on the line when it comes to who is going to be in office, period. So somebody who advocates for people, who advocates for people on the margin. I see people, I have had 6 people in my life pass away because of COVID, because of the way this administration has handled this situation is deplorable. It is disgusting. It is not okay. In my mind, I feel like it is not the time for you to make some political statement by not voting. You have to get out here and vote. You have to, and you know, this is somebody who I'm talking from a position where the people who are going to be on the ballot were not necessarily my first pick. But I know how dire this is. I know how dire, from seeing in my community and working in my community, this is a dire situation. And we have to really get out here and vote to look, if our votes didn't matter, why are they pulling up mailboxes? Why are they doing every single thing to suppress our votes?
Yeah.
We have to get out here, because if they are investing money and time into suppressing us, that means it is important. You have to be a part of the change that we want to see. And that starts, no, it's not the end all be all, but it starts with voting. And then you go out in community and do your grassroots thing. But voting is a part of that tool that we can actually use, get people out of office, so we can actually get somebody in the office that can listen to us, and back to what I said, see our humanity. I think we have the beauty of the internet, right? We have the beauty of the internet where we are seeing perfect examples of how stuff works in our favor. Look at the amazing work that Stacey Abrams did in Georgia. Think about how close she came. If there wasn't that suppression happening, if they weren't cheating and doing all that shady stuff, she would have won. They literally got out and went to those small places that people are often forgot about. They actually went and did the groundwork and went, door to door, and went to these small places to be able to mobilize the community and give people solutions and talk to people directly why she is the one. And so these are things that have worked for years, but we see the results that it come. We can shake it up. We look at what happened in Alabama with Black women really changing the vote there. We look at it's so many examples of when we get out here and do the work, the footwork, the grassroots work to actually get into communities, it actually works. And for me, at my organization, the Black Trans Women's Inc., that is a part of our strategy to get to any clients, any kind of community outreach. We are including, a political plan of how we want to go forward. This is what we do. And I think everybody should implement that. You got to get out to your people, because it is you that they might not trust Kamala. They might not trust Biden. They might not trust them, but they might believe in the plan that you have in the local arena. They might believe in you. So if you get them out there to vote because they believe in you, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. What you're talking about is political influence. So our influence is what helps us in our community.
And understand that having a seat at the table, because a lot of time people stop at visibility when it comes to helping trans people. It's like, oh, let me bring them to the table, but not give them the room to change things or decide what's being fixed on the table. I say that all the time. So if you're not allowing me to decide if we're gonna have yams, if we're gonna have sweet potato pie, pecan pie, hog miles and the greens, if I can't decide what's happening, then I don't really have power. I just have access to the table. I'm just sitting there like a little child waiting on the adults to cook and waiting for them to fix my plate and not knowing exactly what I like. So maybe I might eat a little bit, but this right here I don't really need, and so. Y'all get the metaphor. So for me as an adult, a grown ass woman,
speak, sis. Speak on it.
I want to be able to decide what is best for me. And because I'm in the trenches, like I'm not gonna ask some politician what's the best thing to do at war. I'm gonna ask a soldier who is at war. I'm gonna ask a soldier who is actually in the trenches. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna ask a person sitting up in the house that ain't out there in the trenches with the guns, I'm gonna ask the people who are out here in the streets, who are out here. I got queer men laying on my couch. I got trans women that I gotta go down and rally because they're trying to get their SSI and they
you better bring it.
Disrespecting them. I gotta go down here so I know, because I'm in the community, on how to move and rally people and how to help our people. If you're not allowing me to do that, then I'm gonna be like, what you got for me? So another thing is, within our community, we have to, I like to stay in my lane. I'm not ever going to be a politician. I'm never going to be a politician because my mouth is too slick, and I want to keep my mouth slick because I want to keep people accountable. I don't want to ever have to be where I got to say things a certain way, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to say what I feel, and I'm going to keep it real. So if I see a young lady or a young man or a non-binary person who has that gift of gab, who has whatever that respectability is that can get them in a position where they can be in a position of power, I'm going to try to I'm gonna try to mold them into the direction. I'm gonna try to let them know, hey, you gotta keep connection to the community. I'm gonna try to put them in a position. If they want to be a politician, I'm gonna say, yes, go for it. And push them out there. We have to train our people and train our leaders to actually and stop valuing leaders just because they have particular degrees, they went to a particular school, they went to all these Some people can be great leaders and don't have any of that. And so putting them in a position where they can be successful, I think that you learn that. I start working in retail. You learn that early on. Hey, who's the best person on your team so we can get them to be the right manager, to get them to be the sales lead, to get them to be the co-manager, to get them to be so I can move on to district manager. We got to start building people up so they can be on the trenches with us, but they have the right mindset because you're making sure that they're not losing that connection to people. And so what's happening is some of our politicians are losing their connections to people. And for me, particularly, like Jevon said, when I see a trans person up there, it's just like when I saw Obama up there. It's like, oh my God, they're letting somebody get through. Maybe it gives me hope. It gives me hope that maybe we can shake some stuff up. Oh my God, oh my God. At first, I could be like me and my mom was sitting like, oh, they ain't gonna let him. They ain't gonna let him. Back in 2008, y'all, I know I wasn't the only one. They ain't gonna let him, blah, 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 blah. But as soon as it start growing, you like, whoa, it gives you hope. It gives you, okay, maybe the system ain't as broken. Maybe I may not need to be the cynic that I used to be. Maybe I can put my faith and hope in this situation. So when I see my people up there, like Andrea Jenkins and Philippe, when I see them up there doing their thing in all arenas, when we talk about, the cast of polls, when we talk about, anywhere where you have trans people actually leading and putting something out there, it makes me feel hopeful. It makes me look at Donald Trump and say, oh, we gonna get you. Oh, we gonna get you. We ain't lost. We got the power. And so for me, that's what it is. It's about actually saying that we have the power. There's somebody who allowed us to be in this space and be leaders and let you know what we need for our own community. And so it gives me hope that we can make the change that we want to see.
Damn, you preached the whole word right there.
Did. She sure
did. Whole word. Do you hear
yes,
me?
she did. Yes, she did. I was like, look at my sister. Go off.
What we're talking about is investment. I know that we are marginalized. There's things that happen to us. We've been murdered, astronomical numbers, blah, 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 blah. So it's easy to get in that mode of where we are the victims, we are downtrodden, and blah, 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 blah. Look, I'm tired of being a victim. If you want to make me great, invest in me. Stop looking at me as a client. Stop, look at me as a resource that can help people. There are some of us who have degrees. There are some of us who have skills. There are some of us who have leadership qualities. There are some people who have so many things that if you invest in, it can grow and benefit the community. It is so imperative that we actually invest in our people. If you are ally and you're not training somebody up to be great, if you're not whoever your mentor is, if you're not passing that knowledge on to a trans person, what are you doing with your allyship? If you're not investing in us to grow, if you are just trying to perpetually keep us clients, like when we think about the like a transitional living housing, that institution is predicated and based on there being homeless people. But we're trying to eliminate that. So how are we keeping this how are we creating a program where it is eliminating the problem, where this institution does not have to be even in existence anymore? We have to make sure that we are trying to solve a problem and not trying to keep a problem going on just because, we want the capital gain and the gain from that. There was a case, Farmer versus Brenham. It's a Black trans woman who was in prison in Terre Haute, Indiana. She was moved to this prison, and within the first week, she was raped, she was beat, and on multiple times. She fought for years. She fought for years to get her case heard at the Supreme Court. She kept getting denied. And on the last try, on the last appeal, the ACLU stepped in and helped her. And she was able to talk in front of the Supreme Court. Her case led to the Prison Rape Elimination Act. That act snowballed into so many different acts, like the Violence Against Women Act. When you center somebody that is as marginalized as we are, the programming, if you center them, the programming that helps us is going to automatically uplift the rest of the people who are above us in the hierarchy. It is going to automatically, if you center the needs of Black, trans, disabled women and non-binary folks, or center the needs of immigrant, Black, trans, disabled immigrants, if you center the needs of these people who are on the fringes, who are the most vulnerable, and create program and infrastructure to help them, it is literally going to save the lives of everybody above them. So you have to be really strategic about how not to forget people, how to actually reach back and say who neck. You know, I hate putting. I used to because of George Floyd thing. I don't like to say this anymore. But who am I? Who am I standing on? Who am I not allowing to breathe? Who am I forgetting? Who am I blind to? This tunnel vision for me trying to get my rights, how can I open that up to bring somebody else in? You really, really have to be intentional, particularly allies. We always, notorious folks is, white feminists who because they're focused on looking because they're focused on looking at dismantling patriarchy. They don't have a racial analysis that would include us. But if they will open up their eyes a little bit more, that's a small historical example of, so think about wherever your position, wherever your privilege is, no matter if you're a trans person, no matter if you're a queer person, no matter who you are, wherever your privilege is, how can you take that privilege and bring somebody who is not necessarily beneath you, but who might have less privilege than you and bring them along with you? I think we really, really have to focus on our strategy around bringing people through the door with us as we go through the door. Because too many times, particularly, we get through the door and we close it, or we create these barriers. Well, you're trying to make programming to get people a house. I don't even got a house. Stuff like that. Do you see what I'm saying? Like we go through the door and we get to this point and we don't want to save people. Like, no. We have to really save. Let me say this too. I feel like that is in those type of care tactics, those type of strategies to get to the people and really do what matters in their life. That is how I'm going to get the political info to say, hey, baby, all the people in my program that I help, did y'all go vote?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And they're going to be like, oh, if Princess Janae Place care about me voting, then it must be important. Because in my mind, it frees their mind up of worry. If I'm a sex worker and I have to worry about rent, I'm on the host roll, I'm not worried about no dang on voting. I'm worried about the next John. I'm worried about is this a cop or is it I'm worried about these things. I'm not worried about what Kamala Harris' track record as a DA. I'm not worried about that.
You don't hit on something right there.
The next meal I'm going to get. I'm not even thinking about politics in that same way. But if I got a house and I got security and I ain't got to worry about when the next John I'm going to get to be able to eat, to be able to survive, if I don't have to worry about that, then when Diamond or Jevon or Monica or Pamela come to me talking about trans the vote, then I got time to listen. I got time to say, oh, I ain't got no clients to do today. What you talking about? Do you feel what I'm saying? It gives me room and space to be able to care about these things that y'all calling are tools. Y'all calling these things tools, but if it's not giving me actual survival mechanism, I don't want that damn tool. I don't need that right now. Let me figure this stuff out here over here, and then I'll worry about that tool later. When that house needs to be built, then we can worry about it. I'm trying to actually get the foundation. I haven't even got the foundation. So for me, that's what it's about. When you actually do that kind of community care, when you actually do that kind of work to actually make sure that people have their basic needs, their health care, their food, their shelter, they're not sitting on the streets. When you take those off the table, those worries off the table, then they can be more political. Then they can worry about voting. So first of all, we need to rally around the Equality Act. We got the win in regards to the Supreme Court, which I was so happy about. We got that win, but we need a more robust win. We need a more robust where we're protected all around, and that starts with the Equality Act. So we can't get that passed if we got Orange Cheeto in office. So we got to get him out. So we can rally around that. For me, we got to get this COVID thing under wraps. We have to get it under wraps. When I say this, I said this in a conversation with my friends. I said what the public is dealing with, they're actually dealing with what trans people have to deal with all the time. When it comes to isolation, when it comes to worrying about something harming you on the bus and in public or around groups. I know it's a different context, but we got to worry about.
No, it's a good point. That's such a good point.
We have to worry about this stuff all the time, whether somebody is going to attack us, throw bottles at us, call us names. Somebody's going to tell our tea, going to the hospital and people don't even know how to fix you. People don't even know. You got to educate them, or they don't know what the problem is. And, all these things, you're kind of getting a glimpse of what trans folks have to deal with before COVID. This is what it is. This is what we have to do. And so for me, being that my life has been a pandemic, I feel like I have a little insight on how to fix this. And so in my mind, I want people who will listen to us, that bring us to the table on how to get this often above us, and people who actually care about people who are not willing to lose lives or sacrifice lives, or think that's just, one life is too many. If we can do what we need to do, there's some uncontrollable things, but there are some controllable things. You people pillage the world. You pillage the world, and you want to tell me that you don't have the money to be able to handle this? You pillage the world. Handle this. We can handle this situation. We have the infrastructure. We have the money. We have the intelligent people. Put them in office so they can handle it with care.
Word. Jevon or Monica?
Ooh, I have to applaud you, Diamond. You've been preaching all night, and you say you don't have what it takes. You have what it takes. You've always had what it takes, right? And I'm a witness to this, to let you know that you've always had what it takes. And this show proves that, right?